I am Hardcore Gamer TJ.
I'm DM Roger.
And I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons and other types of role-playing games for about 15 years now, since I first met these guys here.
Longer than that.
No, what was it? About,
How long?
I met you guys, when I was about
15,
14 years old. Ooh, I did have a birthday. It's about 17 years ago.
17?
I apologize. I had 2 birthdays.
Were you 15?
I was about 14. I met y'all at freshman year.
Okay.
And my first character, we started off on 2nd edition. And my first character ever created was a halfling rogue.
Yeah.
And I was annihilated because 2nd edition, in my opinion, was one of the worst editions.
No, don't say that. Oh, do not listen to him. No. What are you doing?
I could never understand Thaco.
Yeah, but that's a table.
For the
it's a table.
life,
It's a table.
I got that. But for the life of me, I could not understand Thaco.
No, we just lost out. We just lost like 90% of the Dungeons and Dragons players.
No, I couldn't. For me, and my personal favorite was 4th edition.
Okay, I understand having a favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I said, in my opinion, out of all, I never played 1st edition, so
There were 90%.
I can't say that
current
1st
Dungeons
edition was the worst. I can't say that.
Definitely the most interesting.
I've never played 1st. Maybe we should try to play it sometime if we can convince some of our friends to play it.
Please, for love of God, no.
But
But there's actually a system where I'd like to. That is like 1st, but I'm not going to do that because then I'll lose the other 10% that we still have.
No,
Right.
we're not going to lose anybody. This is just
We don't have
personal
any.
opinions. This is our first time of a podcast.
So
We're going to
This
talk
is
about
podcast.
what we think is the best Dungeons and Dragons and how to best create a character.
well, multiple things. Everything, really.
So I personally like 4th edition because it's all about hack and slash, a little bit of role play.
No.
But to me, in my personal opinion, all about hack and slash.
No.
That's what I like to do.
No, 4th contributed to role playing.
It did. It had some.
You had backgrounds. You had the themes. Everybody was born on the moon. I mean, it was your DM's fault, which is me.
You had backgrounds, but I mean, how many people really often use their backgrounds?
But that's not a system's fault. That's your DM's fault.
Okay.
Or the table's fault. As a collective group, our table doesn't focus on. Okay, here's my thing. Role playing. What's the criteria for a role playing game? You go on a quest and you complete a quest. That's it. If you go on the Steam or you go on the GameStop or you go on, the GOG, any of those, and you type in role playing game, what comes up? Any game where you complete a quest. It's not that, I don't have to speak in tongues, I don't have to speak in Old English, I don't have to speak in, you know what I mean? That's not the criteria for role playing. That's the criteria for LARPing, which I've LARPed before. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But at a table,
I've dabbled in a little bit of LARPing.
At a table, you can't, in my opinion.
LARPing is live action role playing.
Live action role playing, yeah. And the step down below that, it's not coming to me now. There's a step between LARPing and tabletop, and I forget what it's called. It's not coming to me. There is a step in between, but the minimum criteria for a role-playing game is that you go on a quest. That's it. Just go to somebody with a question.
Well, that means
mark.
every game is a role playing game almost.
Almost.
Okay, all right. But still, in my opinion, 4th edition is still the best.
It is. I'll agree with you there.
Now, we just started playing 5th edition. So we made characters based off of, because all that's out right now is the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and the DMG just came out.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with it. Current.
Problem, man, here.
Okay? Here's the problem with it. Got a great start. 4th I think had a decent start, but they created Pathfinder because they were upset about 4th, and by they I just mean the collective whole, the role playing. Because Dungeons and Dragons was a staple, and then card games and TSR went under because they were trying to keep up with the card game system, but Magic defeated them completely, and so TSR went under, Wizards bought them, and then Hasbro bought Wizards. But when Wizards had 3.5, they had the RPGA. They backed the RPGA. They backed that organization. And then when they went to 4th, the RPGA backed out for various reasons. I mean, there were financial reasons, there were time management reasons, there were, edition reasons, and that was the biggest one. The edition, fourth edition. Fourth edition killed the RPG. I mean, essentially, there were other reasons.
Why did it kill it?
Well, because, you just see it. Even our table, they don't want to necessarily move to another edition. Remember when I said let's go to fourth?
Well, yeah, but I also really liked 3.5, and it took me forever to get the whole entire geometry system set up, the Pythagorean theorem. It took me forever.
But see, we're the kind of people that buy every book, and if we buy a book, we expect to be able to use it. We bought the book, why not use it?
Oh yeah, it's a $50 book,
yeah,
so we want to get some good use out of it.
But so if you buy a book and you want to use it, I want to let you use it. But if you went beyond Player's Handbook, the DMG, and the Monster Manual, if you went beyond those 3 core books, you very well broke the system. And that's what you bought the book. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you be able to use that book?
I got you.
That system was broken. But
so which system's broken? 5th or 3.5?
3.5 was broken. And here's my problem with 5th. And here's my problem again. Like I said, that's going to be my
your problem with 5th edition.
Here's my problem with 5th. We're going backwards again.
Okay, so you think 5th's like a mix of 2nd and 3rd, with a little bit of 4th?
I think that's what everybody's saying, because they, rather than themes and backgrounds coming out in the DMG2 like it did in 4th, now it came out in the Player's Handbook first. The very first book that came out, it came out in that book rather than 10, 15 books down the line. So
well, I think 5th edition has some pretty good points. I mean, we're going to talk about them in a minute, but I think it has some. So far, I like it. I mean,
yeah.
I created an elf rogue, and so far he's does more damage than the tanks and the fighters, except for that ranger guy. I don't know about him yet. He seems to be doing a lot of damage too.
Yeah, I don't know about the only thing I have against 5th, the only thing I have against any edition is the following: Dungeons and Dragons players. There's still a lot of them, like when you said 2nd was the worst to you, the worst edition for you to play, and I just said we lost 90% of our following, is because most Dungeons and Dragons players have so much time, so much money. It's probably us.
No, it's just I'm not logged in. Go on. So much money, so much time, so much energy into that one edition that why switch? Why would you switch? Why would you switch edition? Why did you switch from 2nd? Well, you said it was the worst, but when I switched
back,
because when we went to 3.5, it was to me it was a easier to understand system.
Yeah.
Until you got to the point and we got to those arguments where if you could see all 4 corners, you have they don't have full cover. But then we had to figure out that the 4 corners meant the 2 tops and the 2 bottoms, not just a hole on a cube on the 4 corners on the top.
Right.
I can't stick my finger up behind a table and you can have full cover on me because you can see my finger.
The 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
That goes with the facing and the
that's what I don't understand. See, if you were playing, it's supposed to be like close to life. I don't know, but they say that you can see all around.
Right.
And that to me, it's like that shouldn't be the way.
Yeah.
If someone's behind you, you don't know they're there. You shouldn't be able to see them if they're sneaking up on you.
Right.
But according to the rule book, you can. I have eyes in the back of my head.
Well, and that's the thing. I think 5th is still a miniature game. I think people forget that original Dungeons and Dragons was based on a miniature game called Chainmail.
Oh, okay.
And then 2nd edition went ahead and assumed that you kept following Chainmail until they came out with their battle. What was that book? The Tactics, the one that was printed upside down, the one we had. That was actually like printed upside down. The cover was right, but when you flipped
we're gonna have to ask our buddy.
Yeah,
he's the one who has it at his house.
So yeah, the tactic book, the tactics and whatever, and then they finally explained how to use miniatures. Of course, we had none.
Yeah, we didn't have any. At the time, we had no miniatures. We used like little pieces of whatever we could find.
Yeah. But those were some of the best games, I think, when we didn't have.
And used to attack us with ragged badgers. I remember that. Now, granted, it wasn't like the last game we had where we were attacked by 2 beholders and 2 zombied ogres, and we're all only level 3. So
Well, they were CR5s, right?
CR5s, but there was 2 CR4s and 2 CR5s.
With Turn Dead. I mean, Turn Dead, you just...
If we didn't have Turn Dead,
Well,
them
you
beholders were just going to destroy us in one shot with their disintegrating ray.
Yeah, but there's 7 of us, and you better have a clear.
And I'm the only one who has a
Dead.
dex reflex high enough to dodge the disintegrating ray. The rest of y'all are just screwed.
Well, apparently they weren't intelligent creatures, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we found out?
Zombie. Apparently, just so y'all guys know, if you ever encounter a beholder who is zombified, do not cast Tasha's hideous laughter on them.
Work, yeah.
Because they have an intelligence of a 3,
something like that.
and apparently they don't have a sense of humor.
No.
So yeah. Totally
they don't
understand.
find anything funny, apparently.
They don't find anything funny. I mean, we tried it.
Yeah.
We had this floating wizard floating above, and he was trying to land on a wall, which wasn't a wall because it's a half a wall. He wouldn't understand it, so therefore, he decides, I'm just going to cast an intelligent spell on an unintelligent creature. So, and then long story short, luckily the ranger who had some sort of godlike hit would just kill him for us. So
it was fun.
But it was, yeah.
I mean, every edition's fun.
And in our 5th edition game, our DM is actually a player because he likes to multitask sometimes, and he plays a cleric.
Yeah.
And what he believes on a good cleric, healing's all the way to go.
Well, I'm the only cleric, so yeah, I definitely need to heal. And you need that one, I think. Well, especially since they're nerfed again. And that's the biggest thing I have with 5th. You know, in 3.5, in 2nd, and in 5th now, the cleric was in a Congo line with your defender. At all times. I mean, he's got one hand on his shoulder. He better have one hand on his shoulder. Now, I know I have this ability where I can do within 30 feet, and, you know, it's one of my level 2 whatever class features or what have you, but it's a pool, and it's not compared to our hit points and the disintegration ray. It's irrelevant. It's
exactly.
Nerfed. It's nothing. 4th edition, you know, like I said, it's one of my favorite just because every class, every round could do something. Where now, I mean, what do I do most of the time? What's the biggest joke?
He delays everything.
I have to.
He even has flaming fists, and he displays. Okay, if he punches something, he gets +1 fire. That's what our DM gave him, which technically was supposed to go to my rogue, but I thought it was a trap, so he got it instead. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the character creation. So how would you create? What's the most important stats in your opinion?
Well, it depends on class. Right?
Yeah, it's true. It really depends on class. But my personal favorite is charisma, because you can't get girls without charisma. And y'all know I love them tavern wenches.
Yeah.
All right, love my some tavern wench.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but I like to play the rogue. I like to play the rogue because I like to sneak off while my party's sleeping and frame them for other things.
So do you remember in 2nd edition what your proficiencies were? Because they had proficiencies, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't like in 5th now where they recoined it to mean proficient with items and stuff.
Well, yeah, the proficiencies in 2nd edition was more like you only got like a rogue only got one weapon that he could choose from, and then one bow he could choose. You basically got 2 proficiencies on that weapon, which just gave you like a
the
+1 or something.
Too were the like sailing or the rope
time.
And
I had to do open lock for one of my although that was skills probably.
Like burglary or something.
Dude,
I don't think they got that in depth, and we don't have that second. Like I said, that our friend has all of them.
Yeah, a good friend has all of them.
Good friend has all of them.
So personally, when I build a character, I don't build a character to destroy the DM's monsters. I build a character specifically designed to destroy the players.
Yeah, everybody's gonna hit you now.
Because if you could build a character to destroy your next door neighbor here, you can beat any monster in the book. Okay? And plus, when you play with my group of people, I'm often targeted as an enemy.
Well, you know they call you when you do that, right? Well, a problem player.
I am a problem player. I'm often told I have an amulet of infinite turns, and I just like to rob things when I go into town. That's what I do. I
It's not so much an amulet of infant turn, just that whispering that you've got this attack, like in fourth. You'd be like, I can do 12 d10 points of damage, and I'm level 3, and I can't ignore that. I'm like, no, you can't.
Right.
You can't do that. I mean, there's no way. 12 d10 at level 3 and fourth is it's so balanced. I know instantly you can't do that.
You know what I do like about the 5th edition so far is that every character, in my opinion, should take up 2-weapon fighting.
Oh, I agree.
Because there is
almost
no penalty for 2-weapon fighting. So you mean that for level 1, you get 2 attacks.
That is, of course, assuming we're playing it right.
Yeah,
because none of us taking the time to read cover to cover yet.
I've read the cover to cover on the player's handbook. Now the DMG just came out, so I don't know what they say about 2-weapon attacks.
Came out like 2 weeks ago.
Now the only difference is like what I found out is if you use your offhand, you don't get your strength bonus from your primary, but you still get 2 attacks. And now as a rogue,
and that's finesse weapons, right?
No. That's any weapon you can hold.
But I'm saying to do the 2-weapon.
For me, I have to. I think the one in your offhand has to be light. You're right. I do think that. But I use 2 light weapons anyway.
Yeah, I think they both have to be light.
Maybe. I use 2 light anyway, so I'm a rogue. So I use finesse weapons that are light, so it doesn't bother me.
But I haven't read the book. I just go off of either a podcast or something else that I saw.
So what I did is on my rogue, I first started off as just trying to do range, because sneak attack will work as long as an ally is next to adjacent to any bad guy, which means you can sneak attack every turn, and it says every turn, not once a round, every turn. So I started thinking about it. I went range. I don't like to get hit, so I started ranging. But then it sucked. I was thinking, man, this really sucks. How can I increase the damage for my rogue? And then I read 2-weapon fighting. So I took 1 level fighter, 2 levels rogue, level 3 character, infinite. I do mass damage. I love it. It is just phenomenal. Because as a 2-weapon on
the ranger still. I mean, the ranger still. Now we don't know if we're playing it right yet.
That ranger last time was doing like 30 points of damage, 30, 40 points of damage every shot.
Now we're lucky. We have 7 consistent players, so we're able to test the 5th and 6th slots, what I like to call them. You know, because you need your main 4 in D&D. Normally in D&D, you want your fighter, you want your cleric, you want your magic user, and you want your rogue.
Yeah. You gotta have the main 4.
In original Dungeons & Dragons, in their very first booklet, they only had 3 classes. They only had a fighting man, they had magic user, and they had the cleric. And that was the only 3 they had. They actually didn't have the rogue or the paladin until their second booklet.
Really?
Which is odd, because it was a dungeon delve.
Yeah.
Essentially.
You think you'd need a rogue.
Yeah, you would think that
traps
would be the first,
and everything else.
But I think they conglomerated all that into the fighting man, if I remember right. The fighting man was your... You know, if he couldn't pick the lock, he just bashed it down. Gotcha. Or if you're a magic user... Of course, he didn't have knock. He didn't have magic missile in the beginning. I mean, he had like detect magic and identify. And, you know, he had some stuff, but I don't believe he had magic missile in the beginning. And he didn't have knock, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know how they got away without a rogue.
Well, they sure have come a long way, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's not too bad. But it's a really fun game so far. I'm really enjoying 5th edition. You know, it has some challenges, ups and downs. You know, now that we have the DMG, we got a whole new treasure content.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful.
The treasure hoards are neat, but you know, like I said, I found a whole new system. See, I don't think the system makes the game. I think.
Well, what system did you find?
Well, that's not for this thing. I don't want to. I want to talk about D&D. I like D&D. I love D&D, and I actually think I wish more D&D players would not necessarily give up their the edition that they're playing, but maybe find time to back up the people that are still supporting, still producing books and still producing, you know, merchandise for Dungeons and Dragons. Like 5th, I think there should be more support for 5th. I think that support should come in such a way that there's so many of us that we can bring the RPGA back. That we can bring back some type of association where it's a community again.
Yeah, you know, I really did like playing with the RPGA. I mean, it made it real. if your character dies, well, guess what? You just died.
Right.
You got to make a new character, start all over again.
Right.
So I actually do kind of like that idea. You know, it makes it kind of like, you know, when you're playing the old like the original Diablo 2 game, when you push hardcore mode, and you're dead. You're dead.
Yeah,
If you're level
right,
50, you
back.
just lost everything.
Right.
You know, and I like a good challenge like that. You know.
Yeah.
You know, my rogue is really ballsy, so he's always running out in the very front, you know. I'm always wondering, half the time, why do I go down? But, yeah, now I know, so. Because I'm the one running out first. That's the thing with me. If you put a button in front of me, or a ruby, I'll wipe the party. I'll wipe us for those rubies and that button.
And thus, you are called the problem player.
Yes, I am the problem player. I'm sometimes...
But we've been gaming with you for a long time, so we forgive you your...
Yes. Luckily, I have a good group of friends who understand that I like to sell them into slavery. I like to drag them into all kinds of stuff.
You know, they murder your animal companion.
Yeah. Don't think it doesn't go unchecked. Okay.
Yeah.
They have. See here. At one time we were playing. What was it, 3rd edition? I had a blink dog, and one of my comrades decided to give him this smoking stick, which would expand into a 60-foot smoke area.
Yeah.
Well, the dog swallowed it. And guess what happened? He blew my dog up.
Well, it kind of went the other end, but yeah, more or less.
Well, other end. I'm talking about. I apologize. He shoved it up his, you know, rectum.
Yeah.
You know, in case there's children watching, rectum.
But
And
either way,
dog,
yeah,
you know,
and that's one of those narrative versus simulation. You know, we had to come up with some type of concept.
yes.
What would happen?
What would happen if it expanded? And I understood. You know, we had one particular player who would break my toes, break my fingers, defecate in my shoes.
Defecate.
Yeah, he did lots of stuff, and he wonders why I target him all the time. 'Cause I remember these horrible, horrible things he would do to me, and the DMs would never let me give them back.
I would say that.
No, I've tried. You're like, no, we gotta progress. But for some reason, I am a horrible roller. I very rarely ever roll higher than like a 10. I mean, it's important. I fail all my stealth checks, all my open lock checks. I'm like the worst rogue in the world. But when it comes to something unimportant, nat 20.
Well, see, and there again, you know, I just wanted to see a change, an actual change. Like, from 2nd edition 3.5, huge change. Huge. You introduce feats, introduce, you know, multiple, just multitudes of character customization.
Don't even get me started on feats in 5th edition. Oh my gosh.
Well, you get 2.
You don't get any feats starting out.
You can, or you may not choose not to.
Well, if you take a level of human and you use the what do you call it? What's that rule you call that rule? It's in the corner of the book there.
The variant.
Variant rule. You get 1 feat.
Yeah.
There's no other way to get a feat until you're level 3, and you can bypass your ability score to get a feat.
Yeah. So really, other than your background, every character's every ranger's the same. Every cleric's the same. At first level, anyways, we're all identical.
Everyone's identical,
except for our backgrounds, which, you know, should be there. All right, but they were there in 4th. I don't know. I don't remember backgrounds in 3.5. There was no like.
No, there was a background spot to write your own background.
There was a spot, but there was no like assistance with that in any of the books, right?
No.
Now 4th had assistance, but it was like DMG 2, or it was like 10 books down the line.
Yeah, but the only reason I used the backgrounds in 4th edition because it would give you like plus to your skills.
Right.
It's
Well, same here. It gives you what?
Yeah, it gives you some stuff in this one too.
Or something.
But that's also what I don't understand is inspiration.
Well,
inspiration. They in the 5th edition they gave you this thing called inspiration, which basically was if you do something so inspiring, the DM is supposed to give you an inspiration which you can use to get advantage.
I don't think it has to be that inspiring. I think it just has to be. I think the design is you're supposed to get that point at least once per session. Everybody is supposed to get it once per session.
Yeah, because it says as long as you play according to your background and your dislikes and your likes, you'll get one. As long as the DM accepts it.
Right. Yeah, of course, always DM discretion. But I think it's designed, the system's designed for you to get that point at least once per session. You know, like I said, it's a new system. It's been out, what, 3 months now? 4 months, maybe longer.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
About 4 months, maybe.
You know, say personally, I think that every long rest, you get an inspiration, or every short rest, you get that inspiration.
Yeah.
Kind of like what is it? In 4th edition, where you had your extra attack action point.
Yeah.
You had your action points. That should be like that.
But see, fourth got blamed for no role playing, no storytelling, no. Fourth, everybody was like, "Oh, it's the system's fault. It's the system's fault that nobody role plays. It's the system's fault that people aren't out there speaking of old G English. It's the system's fault. It's the system's fault." So now they're like, "Fine, we will give you a system that has some of those elements in it. That has the storytelling narrative elements in it, like." For example, you must follow your alignment or your class or your background to get this point now, rather than just being handed it as a mechanical device, right? As metagaming, you just get a point every milestone. So.
Yeah, you know what I do like about this game, though? It is my favorite thing about this 5th edition. Advantage. Advantage is where if you have an advantage, or you're flanking, or you do something which creates an opportunity for you to hit him harder or to dodge something easier, you get to roll 2d20s instead of 1 and take the higher. But they also have the disadvantage, which means you roll 2d20s and take the lowest. But I love that system. That system right there, I love it.
See, I think we're moving to pools of dice. And pools of dice, I don't, You're looking at successes versus failures. Now, it's not exactly that, because you're down to, you pick and choose. You pick the high one or you pick the low. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not exactly a pool of dice. It's not like a bunch of D10s like some of the other systems. But it's moving that, because I look at the systems like, okay, where are they going to go from here? Like, where are they going to go from 5th? Because they're going to
eventually come out with 6th, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to come out with the 6th edition. I mean, we'd be fools to think they don't. Just like Magic. I mean, they own Magic, and they have new decks, or new, what do they call it? New stories, or, whatever. I'm not into Magic. I never have been, but...
Well, when I was in 6th grade, I bought 2 Magic decks.
Yeah.
And they have sat in my chest of memories forever.
But I'm telling you, unless you had, like, all rare, even if you had all rares, or you had all, like... legendary cards that cost $500 a piece or worth $500 now, you wouldn't be able to defeat a deck that's built now, because all the new cards, there's like new systems. Like, they come out in new editions as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And that same company now owns Dungeons and Dragons. They're going to create new systems. I mean, it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's even Warhammer. Every game that's trying to make money, essentially, because they have people to pay, they have jobs, they have, they support an economy, they're going to have to come out with material.
Exactly.
I just wish they came out with more things like the Forgotten Realms books, or the Traps books, or the Guide to the Waterdeep, Ravenloft. Come up with settings. Come up with, give me more content. Give me less additions.
So you're saying that maybe like the ideas are just running dry and they're just reusing the same thing over and over again? Is that how you feel?
Well, I first of all, I wish there was more backing. I wish every D&D player out there right now today went and bought 5th, or found a way to play 5th and just did it. And so that us as an entire community supported 5th and supported Wizards, or Hasbro, or whatever it is now, support them, so that maybe they would decide, hey, we don't have to create another edition. Hey, we don't have to, we can do something else. We can create content
for that edition.
Right, yeah. And I think that would be, but that's a perfect world. I mean,
yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you gotta make some good points there, If all of us did pitch in, bought it, and then we can move up, but, So you never answered that. What is your favorite edition?
Well, my favorite edition that carries the Dungeons and Dragons label, that says Dungeons and Dragons on the book, and that system would be 4th. 4th was the most balanced. It was, to DM, the prep was nothing. It had a lot of a lot of things to keep up with. I mean, it was too much, really. I mean, I'll admit I won't play fourth. I would much rather run fifth or play fifth than fourth, simply because of all that you had to keep up with. You had to keep up. Your thing lasted until the end of his turn. His thing lasted until the end of the creature's turn. You know, everybody had this thing that they could do that lasted for unset periods of time or different periods of time. And, you know, then you had bloodied, which I think was a phenomenal thing. You know, and minions. I don't know anybody, any game master really, that when fourth came out, they may have done it before fourth, but when fourth came out and said, hey, here's minions, here's a one hit dice creature, right?
Yeah, go on.
I don't know any GM that doesn't have a mook. I don't care what they call it, a mook, a minion, or what. I don't know any GM that doesn't do that now. That doesn't have, you know, I don't know many GMs, but when I hear the other people in this industry, I guess, talk, they're like, oh yeah, that's great. I'm gonna take it. Yeah, that's an awesome idea. You know, so fourth had a lot of the bloody was phenomenal. I like that. You know, there was a consequence to your hit points. You know, and I think fifth, you lose that again. You know, you lose that consequence. There's no consequences for me being pelted with arrows and going unconscious. It's simply a numerical value. You know, I have 20 hit points or 24 hit points or 26 hit points. I get down to 0 or -10 or -5, and then my cleric heals me. I'm back up. You know, it doesn't matter how I got to the 0. It doesn't matter what happened to me. It doesn't matter if an ogre hit me. It doesn't matter if you sniped me from a distance. You know, I'm saying it doesn't.
Which is possible.
You know?
I just do
Yeah,
something
but I'm
like
saying
that.
it doesn't matter if a dragon just blew molten lava.
Which brings me to another issue.
Oh Lord. Yeah, dragons are difficult.
When you're fighting a dragon horde, or just fighting a dragon, I think it has to be a horde of dragons, just one dragon.
Well, you're fighting
And
a
your
horde of
whole
dragons,
party's
you
in a
better be-
line in front of that dragon, you're going to die. That's what happened to us.
Well,
One of our guys decided to run in while we were still in the line, and I was trying to convince him not to, because we're in a line. And what does a dragon do? Shoots out some sort of lightning, fire, acid, poison, something. And it generally goes in a line or a cone.
Yeah.
So if you're in front of them, you're getting hit. So if you're watching this today, don't stand in front of a line when you encounter a dragon.
but how do you know? I mean, you always want to stay in the line. You have front, center, back. You know, and generally you're in corridors. You know, if you're doing a dungeon delve, which we typically we're in a sandbox. We can go where we want. We can do what we want. So we are in a sandbox campaign. But at that particular point, whenever we saw a dragon, we were underground in a chamber. You know, in a hallway. There's really no other way to travel.
But he was talking. We could have, like, backed out, walked around the corner, let the two fighters start attacking him, or the fighter in the road.
I think we did that though. I think we did
No,
that.
he dropped all of us, and I rolled the.
No, 3 of them. There were 3 people back.
There was
behind
2
the
of
wall.
them behind the wall.
But again, where does the cleric have to be?
He dropped you. He dropped
Right,
me.
because where
he
do
dropped the paladin.
Yeah, because where do I have to stand in order to heal? Where am I most likely going to be? In a Congo line, right behind the fighter.
But yeah, exactly. And when I got dropped, I rolled a death saving throw, and for some reason, when I rolled death saving throws, I rolled 20s. I just rolled 20s. I don't know why. It's the only time I'll roll 20 in this game. Like, oh look, I rolled a 20. I'm alive again.
And what kind of dragon was that? It was green, right?
That was a green undead dragon.
So it's chlorine.
Yeah, it was chlorine. He was undead. He was zombified. He had a little flackery in his heart.
There again, you know, any addition, and this is why I think 5th hasn't made any improvements to any of the older editions. I think we should all support it. I think every D&D player out there that wants Dungeons and Dragons to mean something and be something should support it. But I don't think it's moving anywhere. I don't think it's going anywhere just because, again, it doesn't matter if you snipe me, the ranger snipes me, or I go down breathing in chlorine gas. Or, you know, being burned by chlorine gas. It doesn't matter how it happens. I get to 0. my whole progression from full hit points to 0 hit points, nothing. There's really no indication of anything. You know what I mean? There's no bloodied.
No blood. Yeah, no blood.
You know. So
yeah, there's no consequences, and it's like the other one for losing too much of your hit points at one time.
Yeah, and so that attempted to give you a little bit of, hey man, you're bloodied, so that could make something either want to come after you more. You know, it was a status effect. It was something that was tangible. And I'm not saying you can't take that from that system and introduce it in the 5th. What I'm saying is, for some reason, they took it out.
Yeah, I mean, the bloody system was pretty good for the DMs. They should have kept that in.
Yeah.
Especially good for the DMs. They'll let you know, hey, some creatures become frenzied when you get bloody, you know?
Right. Well, I think it was good for the players, too, because you knew you were bloody. I mean, you knew you were at half hit points, and now the hit points meant something. Now being at half hit points meant that you had taken something that had caused you to bleed, essentially. I mean, that was the quintessential bloodied, right?
Well, I do like the fact that in the new 5th edition, after reading it, is that you can now move around.
Oh, yeah.
You can move around a bad guy without provoking what they call a reaction, which is basically an attack of opportunity. Okay? And they got rid of standard actions to move actions. Now it's just actions. You move and you fight, and then you can move again.
Yeah,
I like that. So you can move up and hit somebody, and then move back and to where you were. But I mean, they still get the reaction on you if you move in and out. Now, the only way they get the opportunity attack on you is if you move into their range, and then upon moving out of their threatened reach, that's when they get the attack on you.
Right. And
but you can dance around them all you want.
Yeah, and I think that's good. I think that's great. I'm actually moving away from their systems entirely, just because. But that's one of the things in the newer system that I found that isn't Dungeons and Dragons, unfortunately. It doesn't have it focuses less on your exact location, more like a zone, an area. Where are you in an area, and then what are you doing narratively? You know, that seems to be a much. It reminds me a lot of original Dungeons and Dragons. I know it's based on chainmail, but see, a lot of people that I knew didn't play chainmail. I never knew it was tied to chainmail. Really, I didn't really read the books because we were doing more modules and pre-made characters in first. So in first, DM, if the hinges, you want to check doors for hinges. In first, and when I played, because I played with the old Navy Master Sergeant or whatever, Master Gunner, or something like that. But in his game, you had to check door hinges, you had to check door knobs, you had to check, everything. You had to be very specific. So it was, I really enjoyed that.
I probably would have died. I'd be like, I checked the whole door, everything. If it's connected to the door, I check it, including the frame.
Right.
And then you'd be like, no, you don't mention it, you die. All right, I'm dead.
So, and of course, that was back in the time of Pull Radiance, Temple of Elemental Evil.
Man, I remember Pull Radiance.
Yeah, the old, I'm talking
about the video game.
Yeah,
Pull Radiance. Man, I loved that game.
Yeah, so that's, those are old Dungeons & Dragons.
Back during dial-up.
Yeah.
Good times. You had to wait an hour to get online.
Yeah. I wasn't that bad.
Yeah, my life.
Because websites weren't as big. I mean, if you try to do what you do now, like, I think Google would be the fastest. It's not a plug. We're not paid by it, but I think it would still be the fastest website.
I love that. We're not paid by Google, okay? Yeah. We just happen to be that they were the first, probably the fastest at the time.
They have.
I think at the time it was AOL was the fastest at the time, right?
Well, because you had to be. That was pretty much the only dial-up service that was available in our area. So in any area that I know of. I mean, you had some others, but it was the most common because they gave out the free discs. I mean,
I remember the free discs. Yeah, I remember that, dude. Just going into like a radio shack. Here's AOL. Enjoy.
Yeah. You didn't try to litter with them. It just kind of happened. They were everywhere. Yeah, they were everywhere. So
they were everywhere. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the game's it's a very I don't know. I'm starting to really kind of like it the more we play it.
Well, we have more content now. We have when we first started, we only had the player's handbook, and we kind of went ahead and just said, okay, let's just add all the 3.5 stuff, because that's the edition it's closest to. So we're just like, okay, we'll add all 3.5 equipment, we'll add the magical items for 3.5, we'll add whatever.
I do like the fact that they added in like your short rest. In your short rest, you can use your hit dice to heal yourself.
Yeah.
I do like that. This way you can do self-healing on yourself, which totally I forgot when I was on our last game, when I was almost dead. I could have healed myself with my fighter ability to heal myself.
But see, that's what I'm having trouble with D&D as a whole, other than Fourth. Fourth was the closest that satisfied my need for hit points not to be numerical. They're not just there to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you might be able to reduce some fatigue or stress or whatever from the last battle, but can you really heal your lungs in a short rest from chlorinated gas? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, maybe if you were like a vampire.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. No, that's second.
Up to what I played in 4th edition.
4th edition. But, and again, I hate to upset anybody, but 5th isn't complete. And so it's hard for me to be biased on 5th just because. Now, I know I wouldn't care to run it just because there's a completed edition already out that's very similar. It's 3.5, And even if I didn't want to play 3.5, there's a Pathfinder that's out. It's completed edition. It's complete.
Let's compare the two. Let's compare 3.5 to 5th for what we know so far.
Right.
3.5 is it has just geometry based. You got to use a lot of Pythagorean theorem when you go to attack somebody.
Right. And since 4th, they've gotten rid of that.
And so 5th edition now it's just the cube.
Well, 4th did that too. So 4th really set the bar for that one.
And then in 3rd edition, 3.5 edition, I remember if it even hits the smidgen of your square, it hits you.
Well, that was I think that was like an AOE or
yeah. Well, they don't do that in 5th edition.
I think they do.
Yeah, because it just goes in a 15 foot. So you go 5, 10, you go at an angle and at an angle.
Those are cones.
Well, even everything's based in squares or cones. There's no circles in this one.
You could be right. I haven't, like I said, I haven't dedicated enough time to read cover to cover because I'm not running.
Now, but they did go back. Like what they did, like in 4th edition, is that you had powers. You had powers,
well,
which you could just. You had daily powers, you had encounter powers, and then you had powers you can use all the time.
Right.
Now, back in 5th edition, if you're playing like a sorcerer, well, you could only use this spell a certain amount of times, and then you're out. Yeah. You're done. Well, that went back to like a 3.5 edition.
You're done. Same thing with the cleric. I can go so far, and then
you're done.
And
then you become a useless character because other than like
cannon fodder. Let's say cannon fodder. Cannon fodder is a little bit better than.
You get to walk in front of us like I'm done. I have no healing spells left.
Hit
just
me.
Like take me out.
Go ahead and hit me. Don't have a decent AC. He'll actually hurt you.
And that's another thing. My rogue's AC is actually higher than our fighters and our clerics.
Yeah.
So you can actually beef up, which, in my opinion, that right there is a little flawed in its own self. My rogue should not be in like a studded leather.
Right.
Shouldn't have a higher AC than a full-plated paladin with a shield.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I don't know that right there.
When you say flaws, one of the things that I don't like. Here's the problem with That's my favorite. I'm going to coin that because here's my problem with 5th. One of my many problems with 5th that I can already see. First of all, they're going to rewrite the book.
So they're going to make a 5.5 edition?
They're going to at least have a compendium. They're going to have a compendium because they made a lot of the same mistakes as 4th. They made a lot of the same, and I don't remember the exact wordings, but they made a lot of mistakes. Like Turn Undead is going to be different.
Yeah, but so far I love Turn Undead.
Right, because we can.
It's
we
saved
can
us many of times.
They're going to rewrite that. I'm sure. I'm almost certain of it. And there's some other things that they're going to rewrite, just like they did in 4th. They did the same thing in 4th. So how they didn't learn from that, I've heard some different theories on that. But here's the wildest one. A variant rule is a point buy. 3.5. Now, second, there's no point buy as far as until you got to the tactics book. I think the tactics book had a point buy, but as far as and it may have had a point buy because the second edition book had six or eight different methods of rolling your character. Remember in the very beginning, and then 3.5 went the same route. They were like, here's multiple methods. It was actually in your book, and then here in 4th they were like, point buy is the way to go. And then 5th is like, Oh no, rolling is the way to go. And as a variant rule, and to me variant means home rule, as a unordained, unsanctioned rule, may or may not be recognized. It's like how do you pick rolling over point buy?
Rolling's the best, dude. Any way you go, because you have a chance to make all 18s.
And then you end up with the epic stats.
Epic stats.
So we're min-max people. That's our table. We love the min-max. So yeah, we argued that. Oh, I argued that point buy was a variant rule, and therefore it shouldn't be looked at first. We should try to roll again. Now I am privy to some knowledge that our DM is
Go ahead, knock on him.
Boycotted our stats because we took out the CR5s, but really the Turn Undead is unaffected by any of our stats. It's automatic. I mean, it's wisdom based.
Yeah, so I only have 2 18s.
I mean,
it's all right.
It'll bring my wisdom saving throw down maybe 1, maybe 2.
It'll bring my AC down like 1 or 2. That's it. And my attack would be less 1. That's all that would matter. I'd have 1 less damage and 1 less to hit.
Well, your 15 would be your max, so you'd actually have 2. Yes.
I'd have +2 for my race, so it'd be a 17.
Yeah, we would still have our.
But I'd have a -1. I have a 19 right now.
Right, we'd
still. No, I apologize. I have a 20. I have a 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a 20.
Yeah. So I think it'd come down 2 points. To be honest.
2 points. I'd come down 2 points on my attack,
which is a lot.
No, it's not that much of a lot. Not for me. I get 2 attacks.
Oh, that's 10%.
Sneak attack damage is the same damage when I hit.
It's a 10% difference on that.
Yeah, but you see what he's putting up against us? 2
What?
beholders that can kill you instantly. Okay, the beholders don't have to roll to hit you. You just got to roll a saving throw, and if you fail, you're dead.
Well, that's the system.
So yeah, okay, I'm privy to my 2 18s. Okay. My 20 and my 118 that I have.
I'm telling you, I have privy to some knowledge that we've been boycotted on that.
Well, he's the one who let us roll like 20 times. Just that, like, you get a list of 5.
Oh no, I only rolled 3 times.
Yeah, I only rolled 2. So, so I got 2.
Yeah. But you get 2 or 3 people with multiple 18s, and then you get somebody that doesn't roll anything higher than a 7. What are you supposed to do?
Oh yeah, but also the games we play with 7 players and there's 6 of us. The game's meant for like 5 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
and we have 7 players, so we also have 2 extra players.
Well, it's extra, but yeah.
Well, 2 more than what the game handles for,
Yeah. Well, it's actually, I think, 3? Because CRs are meant for 4 players. So
so CRs are meant for 4 players. We're 3 players ahead.
So we're almost 2 different.
Yeah, it's almost like 2 different people coming after each other.
Right,
It's just like, that's it, dude. Bam.
So yeah, you should and that's what he's been doing. Like 1 CR5 should take a lot of resources from the 4th level player, But there's a difference between a CR5 Warhorse, right? Which I don't know if there is one, but I'm just saying. Let's imagine for a second that you up the hit points or whatever, and you made a CR5 Warhorse, and a CR5 baby purple worm that can still swallow a medium creature. He's got swallow whole. He's got some things that really mess you up. Where the Warhorse, so CR5s, and that's why I never liked the challenge ratings. I never really cared for the challenge ratings. It's like, and fourth you had a pool. You had this monster was worth this much experience. It was like a toolbox. It was like a toolbox for kids. So I just pulled out monsters, had attributes, and had, they was worth so much experience points, and it worked out perfectly. I don't think we ever had a single problem.
See, that was one thing I was worried about. I was curious about when we were playing the other night. Our ranger was doing, like 24 to 30 points of damage a hit.
Yeah.
I do 30 points of damage in 2 hits. It takes me 2 hits.
Yeah.
And the fighter can't even do that in 1 hit. So how is the ranger doing 30, 35 points of damage in a hit?
Speaking of which, did you send our sorcerer the link?
I did not send our sorcerer the link.
Well, we're not exactly sure that that's, like I said, I haven't taken the time. I'm not running, so I don't know that I will.
I would definitely look into it because
Right, yeah.
I just want to know because if a ranger can do that much damage every time and heal themselves, we all need to be rangers.
Well, he healed me on the pot.
Yeah, but he gets divine spells or something like that. He was talking about like level 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, maybe later. I don't think he has any now.
A scroll, man. At that point, he's like, let's read a scroll
true.
to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because at that point, you don't need anything.
Well, that was the other thing I read in DMG, and like I said, they're going to rewrite because the scroll excerpt's real small, and like I said, I haven't read it cover to cover. Scroll excerpt's really small, but it doesn't say anything about scroll failure. Like you have to roll to cast.
Yeah,
a spell.
I noticed that there's no arcane failure.
But if you turn the page, there's a table for what happens when there's a magical failure when reading scrolls. But there's no mention of when to use that table. So
Okay, so there's no percentage tiles, although there must be a way to fail the scroll.
There must be some kind of way. I haven't found it yet. Now, like I said, I haven't read cover to cover, and I'm not really keen on finding that for my DM because I'd rather just cast.
Or now he's going to go look. Now he's watching this.
If he's watching, yeah. Or listens later once it's been edited. But yeah. So I think it's got some revisions. I think it's gonna go through its. You know, they for some reason felt the need to put this out there, and was it needed? Was it necessary? Were they out of ideas on 4th? I just don't see how that could be. I don't see, because there wasn't that much content on Forgotten Realms. You know, there's a lot of the books. The books took us through Mistress Death and her minister company.
Yeah, they need to come out with a book on the abysses, the nine hells or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what they need to come out with.
Tons of content. I mean, Ravenloft, I don't even think was touched. Now, they may not own Ravenloft anymore, from my understanding. But, I mean, create another one. Bring Greyhawk back. You know?
Oh, yeah. They can do tons of it.
I know they did a little bit on Dark Sun. But they did just a little bit. They didn't really, there wasn't, like that was the actual box set. The new books here.
The Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, that was actually a box set that came with, transparencies and a giant map and, just all kinds of content. Just tons and tons of content. And why we've gotten away from content versus, numerical systems, I don't know. I wish I knew.
Well, I mean, is there anything else you need to say on the character creations, which we're going to originally start on? If not, we could do it on the next session.
Yeah, we could talk about character creations on the next session.
Just trying so the new players can understand the stats and stuff like that and how they work, what they're for.
Yeah.
Fifth. And what's needed, what's not needed.
Right, which we're actually short one person on this one.
Yes, we are.
Where we'd hope to have an experienced player, an experienced DM, and a newbie, so that when we jibber jabber, or I go off on one of my tangents because I am a storyteller, right?
Right.
he could set us in our place and be like, hey,
like what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? What explain that more so that maybe new people can understand. So our next session, hopefully, we'll have a new player, a guy that's really never played.
He's never played.
I mean, he may have played some of the games, but never really played D&D. So he'll be completely new, completely fresh, moldable.
Well, guys, I'm hardcore player TJ.
DM Roger.
And you guys, I hope y'all enjoyed the session. Hopefully there'll be more of us if you like us. So just stay tuned.